Hello, welcome to Theater 1310, Introduction to Theater. I am Professor Kelly Schweitzer. I'll be your instructor this semester. This lecture is to orientate you to the course, familiarize you with the syllabus, our testing procedures, and what we'll be doing generally this semester. So what you're seeing here on the screen is our course module. And you'll notice there are some tabs on the left, and we'll go through some of those today. And there are also some tabs across the top as well, which will be useful and important to you. First thing I want you to notice is this announcements tab here. Anytime I need to make an announcement, you'll see it pop up here in the announcements tab, so make sure you pay attention to those. So if you just click on the first one, you'll see the announcement. If I make an announcement, it will appear up here. Please pay attention to them. This is usually important information such as reminders of due dates or changes to our syllabus. So that's why it's right there at the top for you to check each time you log in to eCollege. This very first page is the course home page, which introduces you to the course. And you can see here, I welcome you. There's a photograph of me at the bottom. All of my contact information is listed here, and it is also in the syllabus. And you are welcome to contact me anytime you have a question or an issue, or if you just want to come by and say hi, you're welcome to do that. My office is in the Performing Arts Center, number 130. If you come in the main doors and you're looking at the theater, you take a left. My office is right there on the left, right past the restroom. So please feel free to come by, give me a call, drop me an email, or additionally, you can even use the live chat app, which is up here under the live button. So you can use that. If I'm in my office, I will try to remember to turn that on. So if you have a quick question and you just want to chat with me, you're welcome to do that as well. Additionally, in each unit, you will notice there is a discussion tab, and so you are welcome to utilize that too to ask questions, not just of me, but of the class as a whole. So if you don't understand something, if you need further explanation, if you have a point you would like to make, that would be a good place to do that as well. It sort of takes the place of discussion that we would have in class amongst your peers and amongst me and yourself as well. So if we scroll down here, which I will do, we see the course description and then the getting started list. And for each tab, such as course home or course orientation or audience unit or blah 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 unit, you will see this list of what we are doing, our objectives, and what we will be doing for that unit. So the course description is from the course catalog, a survey of the fields of theater activity designed to provide introductory knowledge, and we'll talk about that in a minute, what that means, of all phases of drama, literature, performance, theater plants and equipment, so talking about venues and different equipment we might use to produce theater, and production procedures. So introductory means that this is a broad overview of the world of theater. So we'll talk a little bit about acting and directing and playwriting and dabble in some of that, but we never go too far in depth into any one subject. Rather, the university offers other courses that do focus solely on these subjects like acting, directing, playwriting, costume design, scenic design, lighting design, etc. So if you find, ooh, I'm really drawn to this unit, this seems interesting and something cool that I want to know more about, there's always courses that can go further in depth and sort of quench that thirst for knowledge in that particular subject. But as an introductory course, we just sort of look at everything. And it's really designed for people that have little or no theater experience. If you have theater experience, that's great. That gives you a leg up in the class, and some of this stuff should sound familiar. If you don't, if you haven't seen a play in years, if you've never seen a professional play at all, that is perfectly fine, because that is what this course is designed to do, is to introduce you to the world of theater and hopefully ignite a passion in you for the world of theater. The learning outcomes are as follows: to learn fundamental principles, vocabulary, or theories of Western theater. We really focus on Western theater, although we will discuss Eastern theater and other theater forms. We really kind of focus on the West. To develop creative capacities through exercises, so you will get a chance to spread your creative wings somewhat in this course. Learning to critically apply course material to improve thinking, problem solving, and decisions. So you'll have some critical thinking work that you will complete to try to put yourself in the shoes of some of these theater practitioners, see how it might affect your life and how you could affect the world of theater. 4, communicate knowledge gained through research via an MLA formatted, thoroughly cited research paper. Now, if a research paper scares you, don't let it. Again, this is an introductory level course. Some of you might be freshmen, you might have very little experience with writing research papers, and I will try to give you as much guidance as I can. This is a relatively small research paper to really get your feet wet, to introduce you to MLA and get you used to writing research papers, which you will write a lot of over your career here at Texas A&M Commerce. So the getting started section here at the bottom, this next section right here, as you will see, each unit is a standalone module. So each unit is by itself, compartmentalized, and you should complete the assignments, the tests in that unit within a certain time frame. And I put that time frame on the unit title. So for example, this is course orientation. It's just the first week, August 26th through 30th. Some units will be longer, 2 or 3 weeks, to accommodate more information and give you more time to get all of this under your belt. You will begin with course orientation, which is what we're doing now. So you've already clicked on the lecture and you're ahead of the game right there. After watching this lecture, you will be more familiarized with the syllabus. We will look at it during the lecture, but also if you want to look at it on your own, please feel free to go back at any time and review it. A lot of information, in fact, pretty much any question you have about the course is probably going to be answered in that syllabus. And I will keep the syllabus on eCollege up to date. In fact, at the very bottom, you'll see an updated and then a date at the very bottom, and that tells you when I last updated the syllabus. So if I make any changes, I will announce it in announcements, and I will also make sure I update the syllabus on eCollege. And then I ask you to complete your self-introduction in Dropbox, which I will explain further in a moment. You can see instructions for that under the assignment tab under course orientation. And then you will also take the mock test, which is no point value. It's just a way for you to see, okay, this is what tests are going to look like, familiarize yourself with that testing module, and also I will take a look at them as well, make sure you have understood elements of the syllabus that we've gone over in today's lecture. So for each unit, you will complete the task assigned for that unit. Each unit has its own set of deadlines, so make sure you are keeping on top of those deadlines. They're all in the syllabus. You know when things are due, and then once you are done with one unit, you can progress on to the next one. Now, you cannot progress on before the date the unit opens. So for example, course orientation, everything is due by the end of this unit. In fact, I give you a little bit longer. I give you to September 2nd to do that self-introduction. So I give you a little bit longer than normal. But beginning September 2nd, the audience unit will open and you will begin looking at the lecture for that, completing assignments, taking the exams, etc., etc. So everything is unitized. It is going to require you to use time management skills, probably more so than you would have to use in a face-to-face class, because in a face-to-face class, I'm keeping you on target. I'm seeing you every day or two and making sure that you're on target to complete all the assignments. In a online class, you largely have to do that yourself. And so while I'll try to remind you using announcements, using email, and keep up with you and keep in contact with you, a lot of this is on your shoulders. So make sure you use your time management skills wisely so that you do well in this class. So if we click on course orientation, that will take us to that unit of the class. You will see an overview, and you'll see this in every unit. This unit is an introduction to the course. The next unit, which is about the audience, is an introduction to the audience, etc., etc. So you'll see an overview. You'll see unit outcomes, what you will have completed by the time you finish this unit. So for example, you'll be orientated to the course, including materials that we're going to use, assignments, tests, class rules, etc. This is also a way for you to introduce yourself to me using the self-introduction feature, which we'll explain in a moment under the assignment. And you can introduce yourself to the class if you so choose that option. And to familiarize yourself with Dropbox and our testing format. Underneath the unit outcomes, you can see our activities and resources, what we'll be doing during this unit. And this one's relatively simple, short unit, just to get you familiar with the course. So you'll look at the lecture, you'll review the course packet or the syllabus. You will complete your self-introduction, which is due by September 2nd at 10 p.m. And you will take the mock quiz within this time period as well. And then assignments, self-introduction in the Dropbox, see assignments for details. And before we move on to that, let me back up a little bit and we'll look at the syllabus itself, and then we will look at instructions for the assignment, and I'll explain the mock test as well. So if we click on the syllabus, that will load the syllabus. You can see that this is 1310.01W, which designates that it's an online course. This is the fall 2013 syllabus, and we are online. We don't have a room number. That's normally where the room number would be, where it says online. My information is here on the left. My name is Kelly Schweitzer. It's a long I, Schweitzer. I know it looks like Switzer, like Switzerland, which is fine. I get that a lot, but it is Schweitzer. I have an MFA in theater and Master of Fine Arts, and my specialty is scenic and costume design, which you will discover that's what I'm especially passionate about when we get to that unit, scenery and costumes. My office, as I mentioned before, is in the Performing Arts Center in room 130. My office hours are Monday and Wednesday 10 to 11, Tuesday and Thursday 9:30 to 10:30, but I'm also in my office a lot, off and on, in the afternoons as well after class. So feel free to stop by in the afternoon. If I'm in, I will be happy to talk to you. If you need to see me at a different time besides these office hours, make sure you make an appointment. You can just drive by if you'd like, but if it's something important, you want to make sure you catch me, be sure to email me or call me to make an appointment for another time. My office phone number is there. I will answer it if I'm in the office, so please feel free to call. If not, leave me a voicemail. And then my university email address is kellysweitzer@tamuc.edu, and it now goes to my iPhone. So if you want to contact me, that's probably the best way, because I will get that quickly, and I check my email regularly even when I'm not on campus. So I would always suggest email first, especially if it's something important that you need a response to quickly. Course information, the textbooks for this course. The textbook is The Theater Experience by Edwin Wilson, the 12th edition. So look for this white cover with the little tickets in the corner. The 10th, the 11th edition are very different. So it'd be very difficult for you to progress well in this class if you do not use the 12th edition of the Theater Experience. And this particular text is good for the next year. They are not updating it, so they should buy it back in the bookstore if you do buy it from the bookstore at the end of the year. You're also welcome to get it from Amazon, cheaptextbooks.com, or whatever else way you can acquire the textbook is fine. Just make sure you get it soon, starting next week with the audience unit. We will be referencing the text. You will have a lot of readings from the text. So you will definitely use the textbook throughout this semester. It's not like you're going to buy it and then it's just going to gather dust on the shelf. So make sure you have the text. You can read the readings. You can reference it with my lectures. We will also be reading and examining in depth Tennessee Williams' The Glass Menagerie. So make sure you buy a copy of this. If it's a different cover, that's fine. It should basically be the same text within. The pages might be slightly different, but the most commonly found cover is probably going to be this black cover with the white lines on it. And if you get this version, then we will have the same pages, so when I'm referencing a page, it will be easy for you to find that particular passage. We'll read The Glass Menagerie, we will analyze it in depth, and then we will use it throughout the semester when we're talking about different theater area. So we'll talk about what the design might be like for the Glass Menagerie, and you have an assignment related to that. We might talk about what the acting techniques might be like, how a director would analyze and pull out information from the script to create a complete and whole and interesting production of the Glass Menagerie. So we will use this play in depth. So you won't do well in the class if you don't read it. Let's put it that way. So make sure you do read it by the date in the syllabus, and you're ready to analyze and think about it throughout the semester. Other readings provided through eCollege. So if there are other assigned readings, I will put them in a tab under the units. For example, the next unit you'll be looking at is the audience unit. This will be available. They usually open up like about 10 p.m. the Friday before. So it'll probably be ready about August 30th, 10 p.m. It'll open up. So if you want to start a little bit early on the weekend, you're welcome to do that. But everything will be due before or by September 13th. Remember, everything's unitized. So if you go under this tab, you'll see there is a readings tab. If you click that, it will take you to any additional readings we'll be looking at throughout that unit. So all readings will be provided on Blackboard Learn. So the only, or eCollege, excuse me, not Blackboard Learn. So the only texts you have to buy are the textbook, Edwin Wilson's 12th edition of the Theater Experience, and the Glass Menagerie. Everything else I will provide to you through eCollege. All right, so if we scroll down, you see the course description, which we looked at already, the student learning outcomes, which we've looked at already, and then you get to the course requirements, and it describes what we will be doing throughout this semester. And I apologize that for some reason the numbers aren't quite lining up there on the right hand side, so I apologize if that's difficult to read. We will be doing exercises and critical thinking work, and these aren't actually in class group assignments. That's a typo from my face-to-face class. Everything you're working on will be solo, you by yourself, online, so we don't have a face-to-face component. You are required to see 2 plays this semester. Further instructions will be given in lecture and on eCollege. You will see a tab pop up on the left. In fact, it's here at the bottom, play attendance, that has further instructions on what I want you to do to get credit for seeing those 2 plays. Now, we do produce 2 plays here on campus every semester. You are welcome to see them as your credit. If you can't, if that's a difficulty, especially if you are removed, because I realize some of you might not be on campus, you're welcome to see any other play that is at university or college level or above. And what I mean by that is no high school plays, no junior high, kids plays, anything like that. It has to be something produced on a college campus, or it has to be professional theater. Now, does that mean community theater? Absolutely, that's fine as well. Does that mean a Broadway traveling show coming through Dallas? That is fine as well. So you have a range of types and quality of theater that you are welcome to see for credit for these plays. You must complete play analysis forms for these 2 plays by the end of the semester. So the last day of classes, which I believe is December 6th, we'll have to check the syllabus on that, your play analysis forms will be due. Now, I encourage you to turn them in early. So if you see a play in October, turn in your play analysis form in October 1 so you don't forget all of the information, and 2, so you don't forget to do it. It'll just be easier for you to complete the assignment, get it out of the way. It is additionally a big chunk of your grade. It's several points. So you don't want to neglect this. This is something you really need to do in order to pass the class. Together, it's about 24%, I believe, of your grade. So if you have an A, it'll reduce you down to a C. If you have a low A, a B, a C, you will fail the class if you don't see these 2 plays. And if you have any questions about this, please see me, email me, call me. I'd be happy to discuss it with you and discuss any plays that are coming up and if they're appropriate for the class. So both play analysis forms must be turned in by the last day of class. There's no exceptions to this. You have the entire semester to complete this, so please don't come to me 2 days before class and say, I didn't see any plays, because I will tell you, I'm sorry, that's tough. So make sure you do this sometime throughout the semester. As I mentioned, the University Playhouse is producing 2 plays this semester, and you are welcome to see either one of those for your class credit. The University Playhouse is producing the complete works of William Shakespeare abridged, and then Kiss Me, Kate. And the dates, the cost, and the locations are listed here for you. So once you've seen these plays, I want you to type up, create a play analysis form. And in a small header at the top, I want your name, the date you saw the play, the name of the play, in italics, because we always italicize or underline play titles. And that's true for book titles, journal titles, newspaper names, magazine names, etc. So anything like that, you either italicize or underline it. That's MLA formatting. Also include the name of the playwright, which should be in your playbill. That should be easy to find. And the name of the theater venue, so where you saw the play. So for example, if we come up here to, you see Kiss Me Kate in November. So let me know what day you saw it, the name of the play, Kiss Me Kate in italics, the name of the playwright, which should be in your playbill, and then the name of the theater venue, in this case, the A&M Commerce Performing Arts Center main stage. So tell me where you saw the play. And then I want you to answer the following 5 questions in complete sentences. And I'm looking for thoughtful descriptions of your experience. So the more you write, generally, the better, as long as it's quality analytic work. Make sure you're using theater vocabulary that we have learned in class, and use examples and supporting evidence from the production that you saw. So in other words, I like the costumes is not enough. You have to tell me why you like the costumes. Describe what you noticed about them. Use vocabulary that we've learned in class, and tell me what the costumes communicated to the audience, and perhaps even mention who the designer was. So it's not just enough to say, I like it. Tell me why you liked it. If you hate it, that's fine as well. Tell me why you hate it. I'm looking more for your supporting evidence and your analysis than your opinion. We can argue about your opinion. That's something completely different. But as long as you support your opinion, you'll get full credit. So the 5 questions that I want you to answer in your play analysis. 1, what did you think about the acting? 2, what did you think about the design elements? So that means scenery, costumes, lighting, or sound, props as well. 3, what did you think about the story that the playwright crafted? So what kind of job did the playwright do? 4, what was the most successful element of the production? What did you think they really nailed, they got right? And then 5, what was the least successful element of the production? And some people are kind of turned off by this question. They think that I'm asking them to really rag on the show they saw or talk bad about the production, and I'm not. What I'm looking for is a critique, that you are thinking critically about the production, that you're noticing things that, it might have been better if they did this, or this happened and it shouldn't have, it was a mistake, or it could be anything like the venue itself, the parking, the ushers, so anything about the production, what could have been better. And trust me, whatever performance you're seeing this semester, it is not perfect, because theater is by humans for humans, so it's never perfect. It's always a unique experience from night to night, and things can go wrong, or decisions could have been made that maybe you think, if I did it, I would do it this way. So don't neglect number 5. You will lose points if you don't answer number 5. Make sure you turn these play analysis forms into the appropriate Dropbox basket by 10 p.m. the last day of class, December 6th. So you'll go up to Dropbox, you'll find the correct basket, and you will submit to that basket. So there will be a play analysis form 1 and a play analysis form 2 basket that I want you to complete by the last day of class. And if you have questions about that, please feel free to see me. I would be happy to explain that further. So if we're going back to the syllabus where we left off, so you have to see 2 plays, you have to work on exercises and critical thinking work, and then there's also one final research paper with an outline, bibliography, and rough draft leading up to it. And the reason for the outline, the bibliography, the rough draft, is because I want you to go through phases with this paper. I don't want you to sit down the night before and try to produce it. Those papers are never good, trust me. So I want you to first outline it so I can give you feedback and responses to where you're going with this idea. And then you will create a bibliography. Show me what kind of books and resources you're thinking about using so I can maybe approve them or suggest others or further research. And then a rough draft as well, which is due later in the semester. And the rough draft is so I can look at it, make corrections, suggestions, and make sure you're on the right track to getting the best grade you can on this paper. So don't blow these steps off. They are important, and additionally, they are worth points as well. So it's a way for me to give you feedback and for us to discuss your paper and make sure you are crafting the best paper that you can. And I will give you further instructions on e-college and in lecture as well. I'll explain what I want a little bit more later in the course. So you don't have to worry about it quite yet, but just make sure it's on your radar and you're keeping up with these deadlines for the paper. You'll have one quiz over the Glass Menagerie, and you will have 6 tests which will come from lecture and from the book and any additional readings or videos that we look at as well. There's one final exam which is cumulative. It is over everything, but if you have a 90% test average, meaning at the end of the semester, if you have a 90% above average on those 6 tests that we're taking, then you are exempt from the final and you do not have to take it. So that's a further encouragement to strive for an A, because then you don't have to take that big monster test at the end of the semester, and I don't have to grade all those big monster tests at the end of the semester. All right, so additionally, all assignments should be in 12-point Times New Roman with a 1-inch margin and a small header at the top with your name, assignment name, course, and date, unless such as the play analysis forms, I instruct you to put additional information. Make sure you include that in your header as well. So here's the grading rubric, how you'll be earning points this semester, how you'll be earning, hopefully, your A this semester. 1, the self-introduction, which I'll explain in a moment, with 50 points. A playwriting exercise and a design exercise throughout the semester, both for 50 points. You will have 20 critical thinking projects throughout the semester, so usually about 1 per unit, and it's a way for you to begin to think critically and put yourself in the shoes of these theater practitioners and sort of see how this applies in a real world setting. Your play attendance, which is 200 points each, that's 400 points total. Again, that's a big chunk of your grade. It's almost a quarter of your grade, so please make sure you don't blow that off. The research paper, the outline and bibliography is worth 50 points, the rough draft is worth 50 points, and then the final draft is worth 100. So in total, the research paper is worth 200 points. Again, another large chunk of your grade, so don't forget about it. Don't blow that off either. The Glass Menagerie quiz, which is worth 50 points. The 6 tests, 1 at the end of each unit, and they're worth 100 points apiece. And then the final exam, again, which is cumulative, so you're trying to go for that 90% test average so you don't have to take it because it's over everything this semester, and that is worth 200 points. If I did the math right, that should be a total of 1,700 points, and then you can see the grade ranges down below. So a 90% or above is an A 80% to 90% is a B, etc., etc. Kind of normal grade range is what you expect to see, and that is out of 1,700 points. So 1,530 points, that gives you an A. If you get 1,360, that squeaks you in and you get a B. 1,190 is a C, 1,020 is a D, and then anything under 1,020 is an F. And I don't want to see any Fs, but I definitely don't want to see many Fs in this course. So make sure that you're doing acceptable work so that you get the grade that you want, that you're striving for in this class. And if you have concerns about your grade, you can do extra credit. I do allow some extra credit. I will announce it in class, and I will post it on e-college throughout the semester. And so anyone is welcome to do extra credit. I will post some on e-college, and if you have other ideas for projects or ways to earn extra credit, feel free to approach me. I'm usually pretty flexible in that area. All right, so if we scroll down some more, make sure you're checking your My Leo account on a regular basis. So if I email out communications about the course, make sure you're checking your Leo so you see that, so you get that communications. You'll also need to access e-college regularly for lectures, readings, assignment instructions. Lectures will be provided in video format like what you're watching right now, and they will require a video program to view. So QuickTime or VLC or anything like that should work for you. If you're having issues with the video, make sure you contact IT first, and they will try to assist you. After that, you can contact me, and I will give you a direct YouTube link to the video. Readings will be provided as PDFs, so you'll need a PDF reader. Almost all computers nowadays come equipped with one, but something like Adobe Reader, which I believe you can download for free, will allow you to open the PDFs and see them. I use PDFs because they're more universal than documents, which sometimes people with Macs have issues with, and almost anybody can open a PDF. Access and navigation. So we will use eCollege, that is the learning management system, the LMS that A&M Commerce uses. There is the login, which obviously you've already done, so you're ahead of the game. And you will need your CWID and your password to log into the course. If you're having issues with that, here's the contact number for technology services and their help desk line. In fact, that has changed. That is now helpdesk at tamuc.edu. So the domains for our emails on campus have changed over the last year. So everything is now at tamuc.edu. So a slight change there. Communication and support. Please contact me if you have any questions, and I do mean that. I know sometimes students feel a little sort of lost in the shuffle in online classes because you're not physically in class with me, but I am here for you just as much as I would be for a face-to-face class, so please feel free to reach out and contact me. I will try to respond in a timely manner. My contact information is at the top of the syllabus. It's also at the Course Home tab, so if you go back to Course Home over here, you'll see my contact information at the top as well. If you're having issues with eCollege or any other sort of technical issues, make sure you contact technical support, and there is some more contact information for them, and you can chat with them, which is great. You can call them on the phone, you can email them, or you can click on the help button on the toolbar for sort of frequently asked questions, or how to submit to Dropbox, or how to post the discussions, etc., etc. So an excellent resource, the technical support team. Course and university procedures and policies. So this is where things kind of get a little boring, but bear with me. These are our course-specific procedures. Make sure you observe all deadlines. It is your responsibility as the student to keep up with reading, lectures, and assignments. So make sure you are keeping up with that, throughout the semester. Make sure you pace yourself. So don't just rush to get everything done at first. Give yourself plenty of time to look at the lecture and to complete the assignments. Additionally, don't wait till the last minute to try to do it all as well, because some of these lectures can be lengthy, just like a face-to-face course, 45 minutes, an hour. So make sure you are giving yourself plenty of time to work through the lectures, to do the readings, and also the assignments and the tests. Don't procrastinate. A deadline is the last day on which you can turn in an assignment, but I encourage you to turn things in early. Sometimes 3 or 4 assignments might have the exact same due date, so that doesn't mean wait till the night before and try to do 3 assignments. That is awful. That would kill you. So give yourself plenty of time to work on those 3 or 4 assignments throughout the unit rather than waiting at the last minute. Trust me, you will regret it. It will not be pretty if you wait until the last minute to turn in whatever is due. Ask questions. I'm here for you. I cannot reiterate that enough. I'm here for you. If you have questions, if you have concerns, call me, email me, drop by my office, use the live chat app, whatever you can, send smoke signals, and get in contact with me, and I'd be happy to help you. University-specific procedures. Here's the information about the Americans with Disabilities Act and the fact that the university does not discriminate based on disabilities. If you have a disability, whether it's physical or a learning disability like ADHD, make sure you contact the Office of Student Disability Resources and Services. Their information is right here, and they will get you set up with a reasonable accommodation. So you have to go through them first. It's not enough to come to me and tell me that you need an accommodation. You have to go through them. There's some paperwork you have to fill out, and then you will bring me a form that explains what the accommodation is. And the university is very good at doing this, and I've had plenty of experience accommodating students with disabilities, and I'd be happy to do that for you. But you do have to go to the Office of Student Disability Resources and Services first to get the paperwork started. And I would recommend you do that as soon as possible. If you haven't yet, go do it now, because your first test is coming up in a couple of weeks, and we want to have all of those procedures in place before your assignments and your tests come due. If we scroll down a little bit further, student conduct. All students enrolled at the university shall follow the tenets of common decency and acceptable behavior conducive to a positive learning environment. And there I have quoted the Code of Student conduct. So make sure you are courteous, you're positive, and you're creating and preserving a learning environment that optimizes teaching and learning. And the Code of Student Conduct can be found there. I've given you the link to that if you have any questions about that. Academic honesty. Please, please, please do not cheat, do not plagiarize in this course. You will be caught. I have caught many students cheating over my career. It is always upsetting for me, and then it's eventually upsetting for them because I have to give them an F on their assignment, and sometimes if it's egregious enough, an F in the course. So do not cheat. If you're having problems, come see me. We will work through them. Cheating is not the optimal option. In fact, it's no option. Just take that off the table completely. And this is from the university's website and student handbook, explaining what academic honesty is and what the university might do if you are caught cheating. And it could be things like kicking you out of the university, especially if it's something very egregious or you've been caught doing it before. Suspension, probation, loss of privileges, notifying your parents, that's a pretty harsh one, or other actions as approved by the University Discipline Committee. At the very least, you will get an F in the course, so please make sure you do not cheat. And also make sure you know what plagiarism is. It's the use of somebody else's work or information without citation. So for example, the final research paper, make sure you internally cite every piece of information that you find. And it's a research paper, so you are going out and finding other people's information, other people's research, and talking about it, but you must always cite and tell me where that came from. And I will explain citation and plagiarism a little more in depth later in the semester. Additionally, there's a really good link here. The Purdue Online Writing Lab has a really good explanation and description of what plagiarism is and what it isn't, how to recognize it, and then how to avoid it. Some students have plagiarized accidentally because they did not understand what plagiarism is. That is not an excuse. You are a university student. You have learned about plagiarism, hopefully in high school, definitely in your English classes here, and I'm going to teach you as well in this course what plagiarism is and how to avoid it by using internal citation and a bibliography. All right, so if we scroll down, we get to the actual course calendar and outline, what we'll be doing this semester. So what we're doing right now before September 2nd is your course orientation, completing your self-introduction, and then completing the mock test. The next unit, September 2nd through 13th, is over the audience, and you can see what you'll be doing in that unit. You'll be looking at a few handouts, a few additional readings. You'll be watching a short video. You'll be choosing your paper topics and emailing them to me. There'll be further instructions in the next unit. And then you'll be watching 2 lecture videos and taking a test and working on a critical thinking critical thinking work project. And notice the different due dates. That the critical thinking is due September 12th. It's usually due the day or two before your test, so we make sure you do that before you take the test. And then your audience test is due by September 13th. Now you can always complete those earlier. You don't have to wait till September 13th to take your test. If you finish the lecture, if you watch the videos and review everything early, you're welcome to take the test early. You will not be able to move on to the next unit though until this unit closes. So about 10 p.m. September 13th, the next unit, which will be over the playwright, will open up. So pace yourself, but you can turn things in early if you'd like to. I do not allow resubmission, so if you turn something in too early and realize, oh, I really needed to look at that chapter more before I took that test or I did that assignment, you cannot resubmit it. So make sure you're timing yourself, you're pacing yourself, and you're getting everything done in order and in an appropriate manner. I always suggest you kind of go in order of the tabs. So for example, your next unit, starting next week, look at the lectures. You might look at the assignments, but don't complete them quite yet. Do the readings, look at the videos, have any discussions or questions answered in the discussion forum, and then complete the assignments and the exams. Okay, so you're kind of going more or less in order of those tabs. If we scroll down, you can see everything is unitized, separated by different units, the playwright unit, the directing unit. Some of these are longer than others, so September 30th to October 4th, not very long, about a week, because we're just going over one chapter. But then October 7th through November 1st, so about 3 weeks. So this is, or 2.5 or so weeks. This is a much, no, I guess that's 3 weeks. Excuse me, 3 weeks. So that's a much longer unit because you're going over 4 different chapters. Now they're all related to each other. They're about different areas of design, but it's giving you more time to do all of that. November 4th through 8th, that is the acting unit, just chapter 5. November 11th through 26th, that is the backstage unit. And you'll notice there's not a book chapter associated with that because the book doesn't have a chapter devoted specifically to people that work backstage, even though they are very, very important and we want to learn as much about them as we possibly can. So for these other units, you'll notice there's a chapter associated. So lecture is over chapter 5. So you want to make sure you read and look at chapter 5 before or along with the lecture. So that's true of all other units except this last one. This unit you will not be looking at a chapter. You'll just be looking at lecture, several videos to supplement the lecture, and some additional readings. And that last week of class, December 2nd through 6th, you will spend time looking at the final review and preparing for the final exam. And I will give you further instructions about the final exam later in the semester. Okay? All right, so that is the syllabus on the syllabus page, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. If we go back to the course orientation tab, which is what you're doing this week, you're almost done with the lecture. If you have any questions, feel free to go into the discussion and do that. Make sure you complete the assignment, which is the self-introduction. So here are some instructions to that. 1, proceed to Dropbox, which is up here, this tab right here. Click Submit Assignment, choose the self-introduction basket. That's where you're going to be turning it in. Make sure you turn it into the correct basket, and then attach your assignment as a Word document and submit it. So that's true. Those are the instructions basically for every Dropbox assignment. You go to the Dropbox, you click Submit Assignment, you find the basket that you're going to be turning it into, you attach your assignment, and you click Submit. So what you're actually doing for the self-introduction, what your Word document should look like, it should be at least 5 sentences. So this is a short essay. Make sure you're proofreading for spelling and grammar mistakes. I will take off if it is poorly written. So don't write in text speak. Don't misspell a lot of words. Give this some time and some thought. It is a college level assignment. In this self-introduction, you can tell me anything you would like about yourself, your major, your future plans, your hobbies, why you chose to take this course. Tell me about your dog, tell me about your job, your family, whatever you'd like to tell me, whatever you'd like to disclose about yourself. So it's a way for me to become a little more familiar with you since we don't have a lot of face-to-face interaction. All assignments should be in 12-point Times New Roman font with 1-inch margins and a small header. That's true of all of your assignments. The header at the top should have your name, the assignment name, which is self-introduction, what course this is, Drama 1310, and then the date that you submit the assignment. And make sure your file name, when you save this document, make sure it reflects your last name and then some version of the assignment name. So I can tell right away what assignment it is and who's turning it in. So it's easier for me to sort documents and also to return documents graded to you, make sure I'm turning it into the right person. So for example, I would probably title this something like Schweitzer self-intro.doc or .docx, whatever particular version you're using. Make sure it is a Word document. So if you are working on a Mac, find out how to convert to Word documents rather than pages. I can't open .pages. So make sure it's .doc or .docx. Otherwise, we're going to have a little bit of an issue because I won't be able to open your assignment. The purpose of this self-introduction is a way for you to familiarize yourself with the Dropbox system so you can see how this works if you've never used it before, and for me to become more familiar and knowledgeable about you. This assignment is private to me. If you'd like to introduce yourself to the rest of the class, you can always type up your own introduction to everyone and post it in the student lounge, which is over here, this tab to the left. There's an introductions topic, so you can click on that and you can introduce yourself to everybody else in the course if you'd like. And that would be a good way too to say, hey, I'm looking for a study buddy, or I'm looking for somebody to discuss the lecture or to get ready for the next test or whatever. So you're welcome to use it for that as well. This assignment is worth 50 points, so it is due by September 2nd at 10 p.m. So I give you a little bit longer, more extended due date throughout the weekend because I know it's your first week of class and you're a little bit swamped. Usually your assignments will be due before the end of the unit. So this one's a little bit different because I'm giving you a little bit of additional time. So make sure you complete that self-introduction. You turn it into Dropbox before September 2nd at 10 p.m. And if you have questions, please feel free to contact me. And then additionally, you will take the mock test, which it won't let me take. It thinks I've already taken it. But what you'll see are the instructions here. It's a 45-minute test, although it's only, I think, 4 or 5 questions. You will not need 45 minutes. But usually for a test, I give you 45 minutes. Most tests I will be giving you will be longer than this, somewhere between 20 and 30 questions. The format, which you'll see when you take the mock test, will be multiple choice questions, true-false questions, short answer questions, and then also there might be some labeling or diagramming questions if there's a diagram within the lecture. So make sure you take the mock test. It's questions about what I talked about in this lecture. It's questions that you can find the answers to in the syllabus relatively easily. And I will go through and look at these mock tests and see how you're doing, although you do not get any points for this. So it's not, don't sweat it. It's not a real test. It's just a way to familiarize yourself with what the testing format will look like. And normally there would be an enter the test or start the test button somewhere over here that you would click that would take you to those questions. So make sure you do the mock test, you do it before the end of the unit, so before September 2nd or so. And again, no pressure, it's not worth any points. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up for this week. Again, you will be working on your self-introduction. You will be turning that into Dropbox. You will also be working on the mock test as well, and all of that is listed here under the course orientation tab. After this week, you will go to an audience unit, and you will start again, basically the same kind of format. You will listen to the lectures, you will look at the assignments, you will do the readings, you will watch the videos, discussion, which is not, it's not required, but if you would like to discuss with me or other students, this would be the place to do it, and then you will take the exam. And so just to reiterate and show you what the discussion looks like, it's here. So you would click respond to type out a question or an example or a point that you'd like to raise. You could do that here. And there's discussion tab under each unit. So if you have a question about the audience unit, you would go to the discussion tab there. If you have a question about the playwright unit, you would go to the discussion tab there. If you have just sort of something generally you want to say to the class, or maybe something that's a little off topic, you want to, advertise something that's coming up on campus and recruit people, you could do that in the student lounge up here on the left. All right, so that pretty much orientates you to the course. And again, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, please feel free to contact me. That's what I'm here for. I hope you have a very enjoyable semester, a very educational semester where you'll learn a lot about theater and hopefully become energized and pumped about the theater world that is all around you. And again, if you have any questions, any thoughts, please contact me.